Welcome to the All About You podcast. My name is Sheila and I am your host. Today my guest is Tanvire, and she is an entrepreneur, a mindset coach and a business mentor. So we have a lot to talk about today. So Tanvire, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you, Sheila, for having me today.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this because I love anything to do with personal development, self-development. So being a mind coach and a business mentor and an entrepreneur all rolled into one, I think is a real treat. So let's talk about what does being an entrepreneur, a mindset coach and a business mentor look like on a daily basis? What are you actually doing?
That's a great question. All right. So I coach women that are creating their business from scratch. Most of these women, they are living, permanent job. They've been employees in big structures. They're fed up. They want to create their own project, but in a way that they can live with that. And my job is to support them in that transition, because something that we idealize about being an entrepreneur is we think everything is easy, but it's not, especially when we don't have the mindset of being your own leader. That's what I do. I help women to recognize their own leadership by deconstructing some beliefs about being an entrepreneur, being the CEO. Something like I need to be perfectionist, or I have the imposter syndrome, or I don't know, like I'm afraid of some people's thoughts or judgments, So my job is to make them aware that that's only in the mind. So if they can master the mind, the thought, they can transform them into more positive thoughts. That will help them to go further and to build a business with the best foundation. That's the problem is today, in my opinion, that we are building business by thinking we'll do a copy paste of someone else. But that's not true. We cannot just copy paste a methodology. It's all about us, within us, So my job is to make sure or to help them to know themselves more, to make sure that they know about their skill, the skill that I call the zone of genius. Maybe you've heard about that word. Like, where are they shining? Where are they having fun? Where are they helping people or creating the product that they love the most? My job is to make sure that they can recognize it and they can communicate about it. Because if they recognize but they don't communicate about it, doesn't work. They cannot sell their product. They cannot sell their service. So my job is to give them that trust, within themselves and to bring them out. It's a bit more going day by day. It's like coaching them in a one-to-one session. It could be a workshop with a group of people. And something I haven't told yet, I'm also teaching, lecturing in business schools. So still as a coach and a mentor, I help young men and women to believe in themselves and to be believing in their own dreams. Because sometimes we have been told that's not what you should do. Maybe at school, maybe within our family, or, I want to give them the tools to believe in themselves and in their dream so they can make it happen. And what I love with young people is that they are curious. They have a lot of curiosity. They want to try. They're not afraid of failing. Whereas us, as an adult, we are afraid of failing. So I love working with both kind of, let's say, generation, women as well, because women, as we have to say that it's still difficult to believe in ourselves, like to shine in front of male-dominated places sometimes. So I want to give them this belief and trust that it's possible only if you are making it happen with daily steps. And that's what, as a coach, I help them to understand what's the next small step they need to make happen to go towards their own dream. Because it's possible, but only if you are steady and you are true to yourself.
Oh my God, there is so much to unpick. First thing I wanted to say is most women are CEOs anyway, because they are running a home, looking after a family. They are into sales and marketing, accounting, logistics, in just, when do you go to the supermarket, organising meals, getting the budget done. So women are doing all the jobs that you have in companies, but they dismiss them. So I love the way that you're saying make them the CEOs of their own businesses. And I think it's great that there are so many women now who have got genius ideas, simple but effective ideas, and they are not just keeping them as a dream, they're actually going, okay, well, actually, how can I make this happen? I haven't got a huge budget, I can't throw £10,000 at something. But they sit there with a notebook and they sort of do a bit of planning and everything. And I think another thing you were talking about is the belief in people, because all of us have imposter syndrome. Doesn't matter what you are doing, whether you're running your business, working in a company, a mum at home, whatever. We've all got this, someone's going to put their hand on the shoulder and go, okay, what makes you think that you can do X, Y, Z? We are generally not our own best cheerleader. And if somebody says, we did a really good job, we will then go, but I could have done this better. This could have been faster or quicker or better or something. We don't just say, well, thank you. We don't. If somebody says to us, you look really nice today. What, this whole thing? I've had this, and we get the whole story. We don't just say, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's obviously in the female DNA, because I don't think men do that. But women, we can't accept someone's praise or someone's observation. Thank you very much. I love this colour too, etc. So the fact that you are championing these women and helping them get their ideas and into action, that's the thing.
Getting to the action, that's very important. Because having the dream, it's one thing, but between the dream and the thing that happens, you need to act. Most of the time we have a lot of dreams, we have lots of ideas, but then we're scared to jump because we think there are so many things to do before going there. That's my job, making them believe in them, yes, but what's your next step? What's the roadmap?
Exactly.
But a realistic one. Not the one that you think like in 1 year you'll be a multi-millionaire, or one that makes you feel you can do it, but still a bit uncomfortable.
Exactly. I mean, this is what they say. Growth is when you are feeling uncomfortable. If you're comfortable with everything, there's probably not a lot happening. But if you've got to pick up that call and speak to another, and you'll think, oh my God, they're not going to take my call, or they think my idea is stupid. When you've got that uncomfort, that is the clue. Yes, that's the phone call you need to make. And I know myself with this podcast, because we're 4 years down the line, if my husband hadn't have pressed the button on that very first podcast and just put it out in the ether, I would still be sitting here planning, researching, looking up this, talking to that person. Okay, the podcast may not be perfect, but it's one of the proudest things I have ever done. And I'm not saying it's 100% perfect, but I'm so proud of it. But if he hadn't have pressed that button, I would still be sitting here, I just need to plan a bit more, I just need to...
That's why sometimes we need someone believing in us, someone is a cheerleader.
A cheerleader.
It can be a family person, it can be a coach, but sometimes it takes one person to believe in yourself, so you can do what you have in mind, like, because you feel I owe to that person. It's like being accountable,
Yeah.
because she believes in me. And that's what I see with my coaches. They do the challenges that they told me they will do. They never miss it because they know, they believe in them so much, and they cannot, like, I'm sure I wouldn't be sad if they don't do it, but I think they need to make sure that there's someone they are like giving some feedback to, like, I did it, I know I'm doing it for myself, but I need you to be accountable for what I'm doing, And that's, I think, when you're transitioning, maybe but from a more stable job to an entrepreneur job, everything is all over the place. You don't have a structure anymore. You don't have the colleagues you had before. You don't have the tea time you had before. You've lost, like, the comfort you had before.
And it's like your identity.
Yes,
your identity
exactly.
in that company or in that school.
And now you're shifting to a place. You don't know yet if you'll be that entrepreneur you want to be, because it's uncomfortable, and you're not the person you were before. You're like in the middle, and it's so hard every day to be like motivated, to believe in your dream. Like, it's overwhelming. I say that because I also feel that, and I also felt it in the past. I'm like, how can I go through it? I cannot see the light yet. And having someone who can help you during that adventure, because it's a big adventure,
yeah.
who can give you some, support, and who gives you as well some tools, so you can save some time, you can save some energy. That's also when I say about mentoring. Mentoring is more about helping these women getting the right tool at the right moment, not spending too much time between, like, I'm going to get this training and this training, and I'm not sure anymore how I'm going to use it. My job is to make sure that it's fitting the way they work. I mean, they need to try it first, but because I know them so much, I know how they work, how their mind is working as well, because we are chatting a lot, I can choose the good tool, the best tool for them. And the mentoring is more about giving away something I've learned from my experience. It could be a tool, as I said, like about, let's say, how to prioritize tasks. It can be about how to create a signature offer, something that I've already tested on my own. And then I can give that to them, so they can, they don't have to spend time and energy. That's more about mentoring, because you asked me the question, I didn't answer about the mentoring. And it's a mix between coaching their mind, but not only the mind. It's also about knowing about themselves. For example, understanding their own emotions. Mindset coach, it's an easy way to say I'm coaching people, but actually I could say I'm an emotional coach as well. I help them to understand themselves through their body as well. Like, I ask them all the time, how do you feel right now? What's happening in your body? Is there some heaviness somewhere? Where is it happening? Can we take a time to pause, Because sometimes we are so much in our mind that we're forgetting that the rest of our body and the heart is telling us other kind of messages that we're not listening to. And there's the communication between the mind, the heart, the body. That's my job, trying to make them aware of that as well.
I think it's a very interesting point you brought up about knowing themselves, because you've obviously, for your clients, they've got an idea or they're in the middle of trying to launch a business. It's a big jump, I should imagine, if you're going from your steady job, whether that's in an office, in a school or whatever it is, and now you've decided you're going to go out there on your own. You have to take on all these roles, sales and marketing, finance, logistics. Maybe you've got no experience of budgeting. You're putting so much pressure on yourself and you're trying to get everything perfect. I am a perfectionist, and I know so many times I could quote to say my biggest problem was I could not accept what the expression is, done and dirty. In other words, it hasn't got to be 100% perfect. As long as it's done, it may not be a wonderful, wonderful thing, but it's done. The next time you've learned from that, you can improve it, and you keep repeat. Sometimes you just got to let that thing go, see what happens, and then learn from that. But a lot of people want every single box ticked, everything 100%. And that's a big thing to do.
But do you know that that's how we have been taught? And to deconstruct that kind of mindset, it takes a lot of time. Even today, I am still struggling with that mindset. In French, we say mieux vaut fait que parfait. It's the dirty and
quick
done.
And dirty,
quick and dirty.
and done.
Yes, I'm applying that. But there are days where I'm like, not happy, like, no, I should have done it more in that way. And because it's like a program so much embedded in our mind. And like, even as a coach, I'm like, I'm still learning all the time about it, So I can totally understand when someone is still like, I cannot post my video because it's not perfect. I cannot talk on Instagram, imagine, because my product is not finished. But think about all these people that are less talented than you, but they're like talking all the time about their project, their business, and they're making money.
I always liken this to like when you go to the beach and you think, oh, should I be wearing a bikini?
Yeah.
And I just think there's always going to be somebody slimmer. There's always going to be somebody bigger. I'm going to be in the middle. There's always going to be somebody richer. There's always going to be somebody poor. I'm in the middle. I'm happy in that middle lane because I think that's where a majority of people are. We can always move forward, but moving forward in baby steps. You haven't got to go from 0 to 100 in 2 weeks. As you say, as much as your family want to support you, which is absolutely fantastic, sometimes you need to have somebody who is not emotionally connected to you to say, okay, this person knows more than I do about marketing, technology, or whatever. I'm going to ask them. And I think it's very, very difficult asking people to help you. But when you do, of course I'll help you. Oh, you need to do this, and this. But asking for that help because you think, I'm a failure because I don't understand something, therefore I've got to ask another grown-up how to do it. It almost sort of makes you go back into like being a child, as in I've got to ask, a grown-up because I don't have to do that. And that's not great for our ego because we're a grown-up. We need to be able to do this, and this. Yes, we've all got certain abilities and talents that we are, oh my God, that is so easy to do. I'll show you how to do it. But other things, we just don't understand, but we're not very good at asking another grown-up, or for like technology, a 12-year-old, how to do something. I think that can really hold us back.
I agree with you 100%. Asking for help is also something, maybe, I don't know about British education, but in French education, it's not something we have been taught to do. Asking for help is a bit like, you don't know, like you should have known better. I think it's very important to know also your limits. I mean, that doesn't mean that you cannot learn, but where do you want to put your energy? Do you want to put your energy in everywhere and not being focused in one thing, you know. Whereas when you have the right help, you can focus your energy in something that you love the most, and that brings you that motivation, that connection to your own why. Why do you do what you do? And also, on top of that, it will bring you joy, because I think at the end of the day, what we are looking for is being happy. I mean, business is important, but we're looking for happiness, joy, laughters, you know? So help is not being weak. Actually, it's choosing your strength.
Yeah.
Where do you put your strengths, and how can you do that? And sometimes it means you need to ask for help.
And that is such a valid point, because if we take the typical scenario of working in an office, I come from a corporate background, and I have seen so many instances of what we call square pegs in round holes. Somebody loves to work on the telephone, yet their job is issuing reports. Someone hates doing reports. Okay, we'll give them that job. No, their skills lie in sales and marketing. I think particularly in business, you know, if you're working a typical office, you know, you do lots of different roles. Some we love to do because it suits our personality, our skill set, but there's generally things you hate to do because you find it difficult, you find it boring. It's not something that floats your boat. And then if we sort of go on to creating our own projects, whether it's a product, a service or whatever, there's going to be certain bits which we absolutely love doing, and, you know, as they say, doing what you love doing, the time just passes.
Yes.
But then we've still got to address the element that, oh my God, I hate doing the technology or the sales and marketing or phoning the person to try and get a meeting with them to sell my product. There's always going to be elements we don't like. You know, we generally, oh, well, I'll just put that on, I'll look at that tomorrow because today I've got to do this and I love doing this, so I'm going to get on that phone and da-da-da. But I hate, you know, doing all the reports, so I'll leave that till tomorrow. So we carry that through, particularly when we're trying to start our own business, be an entrepreneur or a project we're working on, or an idea.
Here's the thing. For instance, I hate doing my the accounting. I hate that. I hated that. And I was like, oh my God, I love coaching. I love doing also the podcasting I told you about, but I love the interviewing, the connecting with people. But when it's about doing the Excel shit, I'm like, ah. But the thing is, sometimes we are complexifying things. That's why we are reluctant. That's why as well it's nice to have someone helping you. It's not because they're doing it instead of you. Sometimes they just give you an easier way for you to do the things that you don't like. In my case, I have had other entrepreneurs telling me you can use that, and now it's like, I can relax. Don't make a big deal out of it. You can still do your accounting and still enjoy your coaching, mentoring, lecturing. But you have to go through that uncomfortable stage where you have to learn. But once you do it, you save time and energy to do what you love.
And I think when you hear or you read interviews with people that have started the businesses, and they always say, if you had to look back, what is one thing you would have changed or one thing you would have done sooner? And 9 times out of 10, they would say, I would have given this particular task that I hate to somebody else. And yes, they may have to pay that person, if they're really lucky, get a family to do it for them, so that they can concentrate on the part they love doing, for example. And I think that is valuable advice, because sometimes you love doing the interviews for your podcast, but it's like doing the financial paperwork is a real pain. A lot of people have got that type of situation where there's always going to be one component that they just hate.
Yeah, the administrative things. And yes, when you can afford it, it's better to ask someone to do it for you. And if you can't in the beginning, because it's a bit harsh, you can still do it on your own pace. and not make it big. Yeah, like not complexifying it. I agree with you. Like it's important as well to get that help, but to be aware that we deserve to be helped. But because if we don't have that mindset of I can rely on someone else, you spend your time, your energy, and the worst part of it is that you're going to give up. That's why there are so many entrepreneurs. I think in France it's like 46% of entrepreneurs are giving up after like 1 year because they hopeless at some point. Like, I'm not getting it anywhere. I'm not enjoying it anymore. You know, the sparkles you feel in the beginning, and then you're like, oh my God, this is too hard for me. I'd better go back to my old job, you know? So yeah, that's why I really believe in that coaching and mentoring. Actually, the name of the accompaniment, how do you say it? Like the time. So I'm helping them through 4 months. During that 4 months, I call that offer a biryani time. You know what's a biryani? So a biryani is an Indian meal because I have Indian background. And biryani is a mix of different ingredients, raw ingredients, good ones, like tomatoes, meat, yogurt, lots of fat, spices, and you mix all of that. You cook it slow. It's like a stew. And out of it, you have a sauce that you can eat with some rice.
Oh, like
it's a dish.
Biryani?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
It's biryani, yeah, a biryani. So it's a dish.
Mm-hmm.
And I call my offer biryani time because each one of us has a specific, unique biryani. It's like the paella. We don't have the same paella in each family. We have our different recipes.
Everyone's got their own version,
Yeah. And for me, an entrepreneur has the unique taste, the unique biryani. I dare to say that they have their own ingredients at different quantity, and they mix them up. And in the end of these 4 months, they will brought it out, and they will be ready to serve the food, you know. This is my product, this is my biryani, but I made it. This is my signature biryani. Every woman I'm helping, I'm supporting through this coaching and mentoring, they have their own recipe. That's my hope, that in the end they can be proud of their own biryani meal, and they can make other taste of it, you know, like it's like a feast, but helping others through it. That's why I call it biryani time. That's why it's a mix of mentoring, coaching. It's a lot also about creating a connection between us. It's not just I'm the coach and you are my coach. You know, there's a lot of listening, understanding. For me, each of them, they bring me a lot too. It's not just one way. They inspire me as well. So yeah, I think that's very important to me.
I love that, the way you say, you know, everybody's got their own ingredients and it's what they bring to that dish. And as you say, every dish is going to be completely different. It's got their personality, their ideas. I love that. I wanted to go back to talk about accountability, because I think accountability is huge when you're trying to start a business or you're on a project. We are in early part of January, so we're very much in this zone of new year, new you. You're going to give up smoking, you're going to run a marathon, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, 101 things. And I've had so many conversations with people over sort of the last month, and so many people are saying, I'm going to do this, 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 this. And I think, okay, so you've got 16 different things you're planning on doing, and often they're big things. What's your plan for? And you say, okay, what's your plan? Well, I'm not really sure yet, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it. Okay, well, let's take one and let's look at the very first step. if you plan to get fitter, okay, what does that mean to you? What does that look like to you? Does fitter mean when you go to tie your shoelaces that you don't feel rolls in your stomach? Does that mean you can lift an extra 20 kilos in the gym? Does that mean you can run for the bus without having a heart attack? Let's define, what does fitter look like for you? What does it feel like? What goes on in the brain? What fires off when you're I'm going to get fit. Yeah, this is the year I'm going to be fitter. Let's break that down. It could be something simple like, well, I need to phone my local sports centre and find out what fitness classes they've got. Not run out and buy all the latest fitness gear, the fitness watch, the shoes and the bag and da-da-da-da-da. It may be just picking up the phone. What classes could I start with? Maybe I'm not very fit. I want to start gently. And I think so many people get carried away because the media at this time of year is, we've got to make you a better person. You've got to do this. You've got to be that. You've got to... And it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
Comments, please.
Yes,
And it's
I'm
the
sad.
same every year. It's the same every year.
Yeah, I'm sad, and at the same time, I also feel the pressure that we have to be that better person, as you say, the better you, the new you. One thing is be clear with what you call your success. You said, and I liked how you said it, like, if I want to get fitter, what does it mean really, like, in concrete way? How do I do? What does it mean in the paper, like? And the thing, sometimes we put big ideas, but we don't put the realistic thing in front of it. If being fitter is losing 5 kilos, when do I lose that 5 kilos? By that, which date? And how am I going to do it? So the process, I think we need to, as you said, we need to break down the process to achieve that objective. And the thing is that because we don't break down, we are carried away, and we also like lose sight of our own objectives because we are like, okay, I'm overwhelmed now. I cannot do it. It's already end of January. I have not done anything. But start with one thing, as you say, and do it in a steady way. Accountability is also being accountable every day, not just one day, every month, every day. It's better to do 5 minutes of yoga every day than waiting every month. I'm going to do that class. It takes a lot of discipline to be accountable. It's showing up when you don't want to show up, when you don't have any motivation. In my case, I do yoga every day. I try. And there are days I really don't want to do it. Like, I just want to stay in bed. But then I think of that objective, like, okay, you want to feel relaxed, you want to feel open during the day, you want just to feel good in your body. This yoga time is very important for you. Don't skip it. But it takes a lot of discipline. You cannot be motivated all the time. Motivation is the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So accountability needs discipline, steadiness. If you don't do what you said you're going to do, you will lose trust about yourself. You won't believe yourself anymore. Okay, I didn't do what I needed to do. Okay, I don't believe I can do it anymore. You have to show to your own person that you can do it. So it's like inspiring your child. If you have a child, like, every day I'm going to do this, so he can be inspired or she can be inspired. And you have that little you inside of you who needs to be inspired, So I think it's hard being your own parent, but it is being responsible and accountable for yourself.
And I think, talking about this breaking down goals into like very tiny steps. For example, if somebody wants to lose weight, what does that look like in the next meal you're about to eat?
Yeah.
Have you planned that meal? Or is it a case you're going to open up the fridge and the cupboard and see what's there? Are you planning to go to a restaurant, or have you not even thought about what you're having for dinner? So in theory, you want to lose weight, you could make a difference in that very next meal. Maybe have a smaller portion, maybe not fry something, maybe grill something. But it's like, what's the next thing I can do to get me closer to that goal, rather than, okay, you know, I need to lose 12 kilos in the next 6 months. Yeah, okay, maybe that's your goal. The next time you put something in your mouth, food or drink, what's that going to look like? Are you going to have the 3 sugars, or maybe start with 2.5?
That's why it's better to put smaller objectives in a shorter time. Instead of saying, I will lose 12 kilo in 6 months, maybe you can start with, I'm going to lose, 1 kilo this month. But to do that, I need to reduce my sugar every day. Instead of 2 spoons, I will put 1 spoon. I will walk 30 minutes a day. Start small step, as you say. And another thing I wanted to say is, do you know about the Pareto law? The 20-80.
Pareto. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
Instead of doing so many things, focus on 2 or 3 things that you know that will give you the 80% of the result. So the 2 or 3 things will represent the 20% of your actions that will give you the 80% of your results. And I love that mindset because it gives you the focus on what's very important to you. You need to know yourself, of course, to do that. If we talk about losing weight again, you need to know what makes you put on weight. So is it sugar? Is it fat? Is it not doing any workout? What is it? Once you know that, you focus your energy on, I'm going to do that, but every day, like half of the time. You don't spend your time doing so many things and then lose the hope and lose the energy. And I like that mindset, and I use it as well in my business. What are the 20% of my action that will bring me the 80% of my income? Actually, it works well,
I mean, I discovered the Pareto principle years and years ago, and I discovered it reading a book about fashion. And it was saying, if we open up our wardrobe doors, we probably wear 20% of our clothing 80% of that time. And I guarantee we can all go to our wardrobe, and if I said, okay, pick out your top 10 things, you would pick them out, no problem. And then I would pick another item and go, when did you last wear this? Oh, well, I don't wear that because it doesn't fit me well. Or I don't wear that because the fabric's scratchy. I don't wear that because I need to sew the button on. We are all guilty of this, wearing a small portion of our wardrobe, yet a lot of people have got wardrobes rammed. And I thought that was the greatest, because to me, we've all got, we're all probably listening to this thinking about our wardrobe and going, oh yeah, actually I've got a jacket, still got the label on, I haven't worn it because it was a bargain in the shop, but when I got it home I wasn't sure about it. We've all done that. I've done that, bought something at the time because it was a bargain, got it home and thought, okay, it was only €30. When am I going to wear that? What will I wear it with? And I think that is just a great way to visualise this Pareto principle of 80-20. And I guarantee most people probably eat the same few meals 80% of the time. Maybe Monday, quick, we want spaghetti bolognese. Tuesday, we have something that goes in the oven. Friday, everybody's out doing activities, we have pizza. That can be in everything we do, our clothing, the food we eat, often just our general lifestyle. We always do this on a Thursday.
And even like the people we are surrounded with, I think we spend, I hope, 20% of our time with them, and it brings us the 80% of effects, the good effects, I hope. It's applied to everything, and we need to understand ourselves to do that, to be sure, where do I put my 20% of actions so I get like 4 times back,
you as a professional mentor and coach, I should imagine you are very, very good at answering the questions that we really need to answer. Because if somebody says, oh, why didn't you go to the gym on Tuesday? Oh, well, I'd had a really busy day at work and I just wanted to come home and sit on the sofa and have a glass of wine. How would I feel explaining that to you when I've employed you as my coach? I don't think I'm going to say that to you. Because I think you're just going to look at me and go, okay, but that actually was what you said about last Tuesday, why you didn't go to the gym. You know, so I feel that we are not going to be particularly comfortable, because it's almost like I want you to mentor me with my business or what project I'm working on, and you're going to ask me, as I was put it, the right questions to get to the root of why I didn't go to the gym. And it's not very comfortable as an adult telling somebody else, well, I just couldn't be bothered. That's really not going to go down very well with you, because I've employed you to help me, and I'm just saying, you know, I just couldn't be bothered. Well, okay, but so the next time when you feel you couldn't be bothered, what are you going to do? Are you going to do the same, or are you going to push through that? When we're looking at moving forward with the project, it would be fantastic if everything was a linear line going in the right direction, just constantly moving forward. Unfortunately, it's not. There's going to be reverse, turn left, turn right, go up, go over. And it's those times when we've got to make the right decision. And it's rather like if we go back to losing weight. The supermarket always had the salad things on offer, and if I had the time to cook everything fresh, something happens, I've got to eat something out of my control. Am I going to beat myself up because I had a pizza, because I didn't have time to cook a meal? Or am I going to say, I'm going to enjoy this pizza for what it is, but the very next meal I'm going to make a really good effort to eat healthy, etc., etc. And I think it's planning for those times when, because there are often times when things are out of your control. You know, as much as we try and control everything, occasionally we just have to say, okay, the stars are not working in my direction, I've just got to go with it, but the very next meal I can make a little bit more effort to correct what's happened. And I think that is very, very important, because moving forward would be great if it happened, but it doesn't.
Yeah. There's so many things I wanted to say.
Please do.
So here's the thing. Being your own leader, because you can be the leader, the CEO of your business, but if you're not your own leader, the CEO of yourself, you cannot apply it to your business. That's my belief. Maybe I'm wrong. But
no, I love that. I love that.
If you ask for help to a coach, a mentor, you do it because you believe you already have that leadership within you. My job is to help you to recognize it and to use it for your own good. My job is not holding your hand and doing the things with you. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, you can do it. We are going to understand why you're not capable of doing it right now, but I believe in you. And that means you need to be accountable. You need to be responsible. You need to be also kind to yourself. The thing you said, like, it's not because it's you failed that you're a failure. You're not a failure. You failed one thing, and you're learning through failures. So a leader is the one who knows his or her strength, but also his or her vulnerabilities. And it's okay that the both can live at the same time, that we have some contradictions. It's okay. But as long as you are kind to yourself. Sometimes we say, I'm not a good CEO because I didn't do whatever I've planned to do today. But maybe that was not your day. Maybe, I don't know, you had your period. Maybe you had your kids. It doesn't have to be a big deal if it happens from time to time. Again, are you going to correct it? in the future, in the next days? Are you aware of the consequences of not being responsible? So the question is more about balancing these ups and downs, which are part of entrepreneurship. That's I think we cannot escape roller coaster, emotional as well. But how can you bring some kindness to yourself? And for me, a good leader, a good CEO has to be very kind and like have some compassion, empathy to herself or to himself. I don't know how can you succeed without having that kind of like sweetness, kindness to yourself, because if you don't do it to yourself, no one is going to do that. If you're not pat yourself in the back when you're doing great, no one will do it for yourself. If you're all the time you're looking for what's next, you're going to be burnt out. So the idea is to have this balance, and I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. But time you'll understand what's your behavior, your patterns, and just say, you know what, let it go today. Today, it's not the day.
Oh my God, I so need to hear this. This is so true, because we should be our own cheerleader. Often we are, okay, I've done that, that was okay. Instead of taking a breath and going, you did a really good job, or even, okay, you got it done. Wasn't perfect, but you got it done. Well done. Now you can move forward on something else. We don't take that time to either celebrate or, as you say, give ourselves a pat on the back. We're like, well, you could have done that better. That could have been faster. Oh, the graphics could have been better. We are not being kind to ourselves in going, it's done. Next time maybe it'll be a little bit better. But we're not. We are always, okay, the next thing. Women, I think it's very much a feminine thing. We're not kind to ourselves and going, that was a really nice meal. But we would go, oh, but do you think there was enough seasoning in it? Oh, it could have been hotter. We can't just, we're going in a circle here. Thank you. We have to point out what we believe is a flaw that would have made it better. The other person's just grateful you fed them.
Yeah. What if we put our attention in what's positive instead of putting our attention in what's lacking or not, what's not perfect? I think we need to train our mind to look at the brightness instead of the darkness. I don't know, maybe women are more into that through education. Maybe we are like asked to be the best daughter, the best wife, the best everything. And we are putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to please people as well. We're forgetting that in the process of pleasing people, we are forgetting to please ourselves. What if you just said, I cooked today. Maybe it's not great, but I managed to cook today. On itself, it's amazing. I'm not saying don't challenge yourself. Of course you have to challenge, go out of your comfort zone. But it's also great to pause and to say, oh, I've done it. And check it, on your list, like I've done it. And okay, that's one thing. Talked about kindness. One thing which is helping me a lot is gratitude. Having that time to pause and celebrate yourself is also a time to be grateful to yourself, but also maybe to people that are in your life. It can be professional or personal people. Like, you can take that time to just recognize how grateful you are. If you believe in God or not, it doesn't matter, just grateful. And gratitude, especially when you're going through a transition, professional transition, it gives you some peace, it gives you some anchoring. Because it's a roller coaster, from time to time to stop and say, okay, thank you for what I've lived today. Thank you for the 3 last months. I know it was difficult, but I'm still grateful I've been through it. I'm still alive. Thank you for the sun. I mean, anything that you can recognize and you can be grateful for me, it's like an amazing tool, gratitude. And I have not been aware of it before. I've used it, but I didn't know the effect on it before, on my behavior, on my life. But now I can feel the difference when I am in gratitude and when I'm not. When I'm not, I think everything is is shit, like I don't like this, I don't like myself. And when I'm in a gratitude behavior, I'm like, just, okay, I'm just alive. There's nothing going to happen to me right now. Just breathe and just be there. I think that's also something that as an entrepreneur we forget to do, just to enjoy the right now, right here, the present, because we have some objectives, we have to reach some goals, we want to be that person, that woman, successful entrepreneur, and we're still not there. How can I enjoy myself if I'm not there? It might seem like contradictory, but actually no, you have to enjoy the process.
I mean, I think gratitude can move mountains. I mean, for example, I was in the kitchen and I was struggling with the drawer. It needs to be replaced. And I'm swearing and shouting at this drawer, and I caught myself and I went, Sheila, some people would love to have a drawer that's stuck. Some people would love to have a kitchen. Some people would like to have clean running water in the tap, a fridge with electricity, and you're having a bit of a moment about a drawer that's sticking. Whenever I find myself having a rant on something that really doesn't matter, I think some people would love to have a problem with a drawer, and they'd love to have a problem with a drawer in a kitchen. And it just makes me think, Sheila, you are so lucky that all you've got to worry about is this drawer. Other people haven't even got a kitchen, clean water or food. And I think the other thing, just backtracking a bit, talking about self-belief, and I've come across this thing where we're talking about I'm not good enough. And I took that one step further and I wrote, I'm not good enough for what? ?
I love it.
And it was a case of, when I look at myself, I think I'm pretty creative. I'd like to think I'm a good person, good with my time and process thinker, all these crazy things. But I'm thinking, but what do I think I'm not good enough at? I'm not an engineer. I don't think I'm good at drawing, but that's not the end of the world. But when we say, oh, I don't feel good enough for what? You don't feel good enough that you can produce a podcast. Well, that doesn't matter. As long as you enjoy it, let's forget the perfection. But this question, I'm not good enough, and we hear this all the time. And I would say, good enough for what? Then when you ask, they're like, well, I don't know. Well, you're telling me you don't feel good enough, but good enough for what? To do what? Or to accomplish what? Or in which area don't you feel good enough?
And is that important?
Absolutely. And it stops people in their tracks, because this, I'm not good enough for what? And in whose eyes? Okay, maybe your parents think you should have studied more when you went to school or university, but there may be reasons behind that, but you're doing okay now. And we may think, okay, well, that meal wasn't good enough in my eyes, but there's none left. Everyone's eaten it. So this good enough for what, I think, is a huge question.
It is good enough, and for who as well? Because maybe we're giving attention, the power to someone, instead of taking it within ourselves. Like, I'm taking the power to believe in myself in anything I want, but I don't want someone to tell me you're not good enough. I think it's it's one of the things that prevent from moving as an entrepreneur, or even in life. When you say I'm not good enough, you're not talking to yourself in a kind way. The way you speak to yourself is very important. And if you think you are not good enough, that will it's like, feeding yourself with that belief. And it's like saying, if you have a kid, you're not good enough. What he will believe or she will believe is that he cannot do it, she cannot do it. And that's why, changing mindset, it's worth it.
and this is it. We can always find evidence. Say, oh, I'm no good at cooking.
And yes.
Well, what? Oh, well, I did something and I burned
Let's
it.
go back in the past.
Okay, exactly. We can always find that evidence.
Yes.
Okay, it may be you burnt it because you need to buy a new pan. You had the temperature too high. The recipe was wrong. You didn't follow the recipe. It could be 1,001 different things. But that doesn't mean you're a failure at cooking that one particular dish.
But if you believe that you cannot do it, you can find proof that you cannot do it.
Absolutely.
And if you believe that you can do it, you will find proof that you can do it.
Exactly.
And so it's it's your own decision to change to who and to what you're giving your power to. And that's why it's very tricky, because we've been given that mindset for such a long time, and it takes a lot of humility, vulnerability to change it. Sometimes some people will say, it's too late for me. Is it really?
That's a huge one. I'm going to have you back. I'm going to have you back, absolutely, because this is such a big topic. And I've sat here listening to you, and it's almost like you've got into my brain.
Wow.
Because obviously in your professional capacity, you are saying things which are the right questions, giving us examples of things. You're saying things, yes, it is about the ego, it's conditioning. We don't trust ourselves, we're trying to be super women. So much of what you're saying, I know, is going to resonate with people listening here. And I think particularly with women, I know we focus a lot on women here. I'm going to have you back if you would love to come back.
With pleasure. Thank you very much for giving me the space to talk about it.
Well, we could go on for hours,
yes.
But I think we're going to stop now.
Yeah.
I'll have you back because there is so much valuable information here. The one thing I personally want to take, and obviously I will re-listen to this when I do the edit, when I've completed something, even if it's like the rough and dirty copy, it's done. Give myself a pat on the back and go, okay, it's done. It may not be perfect, it's done. Learn from it, and it'll be a little bit easier and better the next time.
And the more you celebrate yourself, the more you want to do it the next time, isn't it?
I think that's the title of the podcast. Celebrate yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, Tanvire, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and I would love to have you back on the podcast.
With pleasure. I'll be back with some cookies.
Oh, love it. Oh, we didn't mention that actually
it's
in the podcast. Tanvire, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Please subscribe for future episodes on whatever platform you are listening on. It is free. And if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.